In games, sometimes you're not given instructions of how to engage in combat. I mean, there's always the tried and true method of taking a few hits, but this can have some unfortunate results. A more subtle method of learning combat is observing the visual language. The design of your foe can indicate their abilities, whether it be their shape, size, or even color. And analyzing this design language allows you to act accordingly. Outside of games and other art forms, the biological world has its own visual language. For a human example, athletes have various body shapes and sizes that correspond with their specialization of their sports. This is largely true for all life. There are certain body forms as well as colors and organs that are indicative of behavior. At least in the animal kingdom, there is no other group that exhibits the myriad of body forms, colors, and appendages than the insects. The morphology of the insects have fascinated us since the ancient Greeks. Etymology, the study and classification of insects, has been developed throughout history, and it was predominantly done by high-class individuals. This resulted in insects becoming seen as collectibles. Essentially, insect collecting became like the modern Pokemon craze. Insect collecting has occurred throughout history and independently across the globe. These could have been for economic uses, food, honey, silk, lac, beeswax, dye, biological controls, aesthetics, and so on, or for entertainment uses, private and personal insect houses, insect fighting, and etymology boxes. It is a common practice, especially for children, to collect and keep live insects. In fact, this has been accredited as one of the inspirations of Pokemon, the creator himself describing the game as the story of a boy's summer day. Although more popular in the Eastern Hemisphere, insects are also utilized in fighting operations, where insects are pitted against each other to fight and often betted on who will be the victor. You've likely seen a video of this on YouTube, with it having a popular following online. Traditionally, insect collections referred to the practice of capturing and killing insects and preserving their bodies. The primary purpose is for study. However, the waves of new sciences during the Victorian era made etymology more popular. Particularly, society was introduced to a group of animals that are easily preserved and come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. This resulted in many private collections, with insects viewed as symbols of status. And not only were the collections private, but also poorly labeled. Many of these private collections were eventually sold to museums, but the popularity and lack of proper documentation likely did do damage to numerous insect populations, especially those deemed desirable, like the butterflies. Insect collections are still created and expanded today. Insects represent the majority of the species described, with millions of more estimated to yet to be discovered. Due to their pure abundance and diversity, they are major ecosystem components, and unfortunately particularly vulnerable. Despite the harm of private collections, local insect collections are still of interest. They potentially capture species or phenotype specific to a local region. With proper labeling and pinning, amateur etymologists remain important for discovery. Insects are essentially the Pokemon of our world, being what inspired Pokemon. They are an incredibly diverse and wondrous group of organisms. To humans, they are important ecological factors, economic resources, pets, entertainment, and sources of discovery. There's a pretty good argument that Pokemon will last forever because of the internet. But the trajectory that we're going as a species, will insects truly last forever on this planet?